Hi, I'm Jason Weaver, and I...
Listen to more Disney songs than you'd like to admit?
Yes, actually. What, are you a mind reader now?
No.
He must never know.
You still with me here?
Yeah. And I'm Trevor McCarty, and I'm not a mind reader. That'd just be ridiculous.
Cool then. Now, at this time, escort your children and squeamish elderly people out of the room. Turn down the lights, and hold on to your butts. Not literally.
I knew that.
The time has come for our epic review of Berserk, the Golden Age arc. Stop it!
Guts is a young, wayward sword for hire and named presumably for his favorite organ to remove from people. After getting paid for his latest castle siege, a mercenary group known as the Band of the Hawk tries to rob him of his winnings. After he proves why he's worth the money he earns, the beautiful leader Griffith decides to face him herself. What? Really? Okay. Griffith decides to face Guts himself and defeats him with one hit. Guts awakens to find himself in the camp of the Band of the Hawk's camp, with not so much an offer as a demand from Griffith to join him. Guts refuses to submit without a fight, clearly not remembering the fight he is still recovering from losing. Griffith proclaims his ownership of Guts once he wins, and 3 years and about 100 pounds later, Guts is an upstart captain in the upstartiest mercenary group in Midland.
Griffith turns out to be quite the enterprising young man for someone with no formal education, as he's already taken his dream of having his own kingdom to the heights of being hired to assist the Kingdom of Midland in repelling would-be attackers. And what's Guts up to? Sexually tense arguments with fellow Captain Casca, and sexually tense everything with Griffith.
When you fight, and how you fight, is all for me. Because you're mine.
Order me to do your bidding, like you always do.
Since I first saw you, I knew I wanted you.
Does that mean you want me in that way?
Yes, Guts doesn't have much going for him other than being aimed at a problem and sent in to destroy it, tending to write off Griffith's habit of avoiding death and driving back immortal monsters with just a look of his creepy pendant. This begins to change, however, as Griffith gets closer to royal status and princess relationship status. Some of the old money decides he's got to get Guts, see?
Griffith has Guts eliminate one of the guys who made an attempt on his life. Unfortunately, he's a bit too bulky to ninja around, but at least he doesn't wear fucking orange, and he accidentally kills the child of his target as well. He barely escapes, knowing the life of his friend, Griffith, will be safe, only to overhear him talking to the princess about how he doesn't consider any one of the Hawks to be his friends or equals because they don't have a dream of their own and are just following his. As Guts contemplates being a tool, Casca finds herself questioning herself as well after she has her period during a fight, passes out, falls off a cliff. Ha! Take that, women's rights movement! I mean, that was the movie saying it. I mean, that was me as the movie saying it. Oh, dear God, please, cut it.
Guts rescues Casca, and in the process, they find some common ground on which to not hate each other. The bad news is, they don't have the time to try the same thing with the 100 enemy soldiers looking for them. Guts sends Casca away to get backup while he fends them off as best he can. Turns out his best was good enough to kill all 100 men by the time Griffith, Casca, and... all the rest show up. This proves to be good practice for the Hawks as Griffith leads them in a grand castle siege to defeat the clearly gay and therefore clearly evil King of Tudor for the King of Midland. Casca even gets to revenge win against the big dumb man who said women couldn't fight. The same man Guts knocked senseless with one hit and barely noticed at the beginning of the second movie. This is also the only time she's shown actually winning a fight. Keep in mind, Guts supposedly likes her for her strength. You go, girl.
A celebration is had as Griffith and all the Band of the Hawk are given royal status, and just as they have gained everything most people of the time could reasonably expect to want, Guts decides now's the perfect time to stop leeching off of Griffith. Griffith intends to stop him with sword fights, but finds that Guts' resolve to find his own dream proves too much, or maybe it's because his sword is 10 times thicker than Griffith's. So he lost a good captain, but any sane person would get over it, as they kept to the agreement they made. Griffith has a big ego and control issues, so to console himself, he drops in on the princess and they do this weird naked hug thing that they both seem to like very much. Fortunately, he's not really allowed to do that, leading to his capture, imprisonment, torture, as well as the Hawks being hunted down and attacked like they just used the word feminism on the internet.
Sex! satire! A year later, Casca is now in charge of the Hawks, who are still banned and on the run, fighting off other mercenary groups, when suddenly, Guts appears and the battle starts going their way again, because God forbid we show Casca being the strong person Guts continues to think she is for some reason. They find a quiet spot to argue and ignore important questions like where Guts went, what he did there, why he came back, and how he found them. Casca and Guts start making fuck.
Did he say making fuck?
Afterwards, Guts gets a vision of some sort of knight with a skull, called the Skull Knight, and decides to help the Hawks break Griffith out of prison, with the help of the princess, who is miraculously not pregnant.
We would like to take a moment to address our male viewers in particular to remind you that pregnancy from unprotected sex is no bullet easily dodged.
Basting her like a turkey may feel like the best 6 seconds of your life, but it's just not worth the creation of a screaming poo monster.
Always use a condom.
Don't be silly. Protect your willy. Hiya!
Now back to the...
Sex is cleaner with a covered wiener! Bruh!
So, back to...
If you're not gonna sack it, go home and whack it! Protect her wrinkle before you sprinkle! Holster your gun and the shooting's more fun!
Griffith is saved, but the full year of torture has left him malnourished, crippled, and unable to speak or sing the songs of legend.
Darkness imprisoning me. All that I see, absolute horror.
And since Guts and Casca are sort of a thing now, they're contemplating leaving the Hawks, who are likely to disband without a leader. Things are looking pretty bad, but they're about to get so much worse. Griffith, now unable to ever have his own kingdom, attempts to commit suicide, but in doing so, unleashes the power of his necklace that had led to all of his previous good fortune. He, Guts, Casca, and the Hawks are transported to Hell, where 4 demons greet him and reveal that they were behind him getting the necklace and offer him a bargain. If he sacrifices the lives of all the Hawks, they will turn him into a demon king. But surely after seeing everything they went through to get him out, he'll see that not all is lost.
I sacrifice.
Oh, you dick!
The Hawks are all branded for sacrifice and devoured by disgusting, horrible nightmares. Guts tries to stop Griffith's transformation while the rest of the Hawks try to defend Casca, but quickly run out of themselves. Guts' efforts aside, Griffith becomes the Demon King Femto, and just to make clear where he and Guts stand, he strips Casca naked and binds both of them so that Guts can only watch on in horror while he... The Skull Knight from his vision suddenly breaks in and rescues Guts and Casca before something somehow even worse happens. Guts wakes up to find he's not all there, and unfortunately, Casca isn't either. She was so traumatized by that thing that happened to her, she mentally regressed to an incoherent child a la Lucy from Elfin Lied. And so our story ends with Guts, in spite of everything, setting out to get revenge on Griffith, who now spends his time watching weird, abstract 1990s MTV animations.
Guts is a very straightforward character, the kind who would rather fight for his life than live it, but gains a bit of death from discovering that living as he used to just made him a tool for people like Griffith. But by the time he thinks he's decided to have a dream of his own, he's basically forced back into the longest fight of his life. So, I don't know if that means he developed further or backwards.
One of the great traders in anime, Griffith made it clear that while his men worship him and he takes care of them, they are possessions, and like his humanity or even his body, he will give up anything for what he wants. He trades so much of himself away that nothing remains but the purple helmet monster he's become. Purple helmet monster.
Casca zigzags being a good female character. Like, a lot. On one hand, she's a captain in a mercenary company, but a direct subordinate to a man she wants to bone and is only there to be near him. She commands respect, but needs to be rescued from losing a fight at least once every movie.
It's not my fault. It's not like I asked to be a woman.
Berserk Trilogy blew my socks off when I first watched them. The animation is a huge leap forward compared to the clips I've seen from the show, and everything is just so colorful and beautiful. All the action and scenes of war were spectacular and make me feel as if I'm on the sidelines observing from a safe distance, while the fitting music rages on perfectly with the events unfolding before me. All of the lead characters are amazing and interesting, and the voice acting for them all is very good and brings them to life, especially Griffith. The way he speaks and holds himself makes him all the more intriguing and eventually a very good villainous character. The only things that bugged me slightly is the pacing of the plot, being somewhat inconsistent at times to keep things moving, and that the female characters lost a lot of strength and impact in the moments of need and importance. It's okay to have a damsel in distress, but when that person is a captain and is getting the shit kicked out of her once every movie, and forcing your main lead to tend to her aid each time, then we have a problem considering Guts is into her because of her strength. But things like that are only minor, and I still love these movies, and I will highly recommend watching them.
The Berserk film's writing is very reminiscent of classic mythology. However, while it uses everything that made those stories classics, it also copied the mistakes that better stories have learned from. There's still the grand, heartfelt moments, themes of gods and fate versus the common man and free will. But there's also the misogynistic treatment of female characters, liberal application of Deus Ex Machina, and somehow both homoerotic and homophobic overtones. When the emotional punches come, they hit, and a lot of that can be credited to the visuals, which mix 2D and 3D animation, sometimes, and the soundtrack, which serves its scenes well enough to contribute, but not entirely stand on its own, barring a few standouts. The Golden Age arc doesn't live up to all of its ambition, but even that is still enough to put it miles ahead of traditional anime fare. You know? This past season has left me pretty jaded, but the last couple reviews we've done have been on things that, all things considered, were pretty good.
Yeah, these shows make you think, like, would you ever consider selling out me and Eric?
Yes.
For what? I didn't even say what for.
I don't care. Yes, definitely yes. Especially you.
Really?
No. Yes! I would never! You two are my only friends!
Oh, you kidding?
Yeah, no, stop! Everything you're doing needs to stop immediately. You need to stop. I can feel you pressing into me. No, stop.
Jason, I'll always be your friend.
No!
A commoner by blood is a commoner to the end! After all the times I've favored you, this is how you repay me!
My sword. Needle.
Needle. So she named your sword.
Lots of people name their swords.
Lots of cunts.
Just remember that you're standing on a planet that's evolving and revolving at 900 miles an hour.
Oh, you kidding? You?
No, Trevor Senpai! Yamete!